Are you considering constructing or replacing an existing garden bed? Are you looking for a garden bed that is low cost, durable, environmentally friendly, aesthetically pleasing, with easy accessibility? Then let me show you the project that we've constructed covering all these factors. These garden beds have given us enjoyment for many years. The original bed is over 10 years old and it remains unchanged. The new wave for today's avid and beginning gardeners is creating something special in their backyards. It's a growing trend. Our project is an entirely different concept than the construction of raised garden beds. This concept can be adapted to your backyard space. Let me walk you through the steps we took to construct our project. When we designed the beds, we wanted these features. Number one was we wanted easy access utilizing all our roof space. We looked at durability. It also needed to be environmentally friendly. The beds we replaced were made with railway ties, which we did not like. The tar that was present on these ties was not good. We felt the concrete would be healthier and more durable. The 132 square foot bed measures 22 feet long and is 6 feet wide, and it's 16 inches high. The total cost for construction was $600, and it took us 2 weeks to build it. My wife and I are retired, so the bed height and width easily gives us easy access to the planting area. A design feature that might interest you is that these beds can be made in any length or width basis of 34-inch panel length. You can shorten or lengthen your bed size based on your available space. For the side and sidewalk molds, we used boot trays. We purchased boot trays from a local hardware store. The trays were an ideal size and were very durable. The trays have an inside measurement of 16 inches by 34 inches by 2 inches high. Retail price for these trays was approximately $13 each. The classic design that these trays have, we found to be very appealing. When mixing the concrete for the panels, we used 6,000 psi Redicrete. 1.5 bags, 30 kilogram size, were used for each panel. Reinforcing wire is needed in the bottom of the pans to ensure stronger panel strength. Be sure to spray the inside of the mold with a release agent, and I would suggest that you use a product like cooking oil. In the next step in the process, concrete is added to the pans. Use a trowel to smooth down the concrete and then vibrate or tap the pans to release air bubbles. Cover the concrete pans with a wet cloth to assist in the curing timelines for extra strength. When the panel is removed from the mold, make sure to allow at least 72 hours before removing the panel. The panel is now finished and ready for the next step. An innovation that I did was to help remove air bubbles from the mold pans. I made a vibrating table. To begin with, I took two 3/4 inch pieces of plywood, 30 inches square, and I bolted 15-inch tire to the top of the plywood. I mounted a 1/4 inch horsepower electric motor to the bottom of the plywood. 4-inch pulley was put on the motor, and I put a weighted offset bolt on the side of the motor shaft to make the motor and the platform vibrate. The electric switch was also added for operator convenience. I have to say this innovation made the difference in the overall project's success. Moving on to the next phase of the project was the support posts. The post forms are constructed using concrete piling tubes for molds. The molds were 8-foot long concrete tubes, and I cut them into 32-inch lengths. The project required 6-inch wide tubes for the side and the end panels, and the corner posts required 8-inch wide tubes. The tubes, both the 8 and the 6-inch width tubes, were all cut at 32 inches. You'll need, for this project, you'll need 2-inch thick styrofoam sheets. And these sheets, I cut them into 2¼ inch by 16-inch strips. The strips that you cut are fastened inside the tubes using 1.5-inch screws. You can see by the caption that how the strips are placed in the tubes. The example is the corner post and how the 2 strips are placed in the tube on an angle so that the panels will line up for a corner. So when you finish the rest of the project, the next is your site setup. And the site setup should include a string line and a grade level in the area that you're planning on putting your bed. Measure and mark where the posts are to be located. A good plan of attack might be to get a line locate from your utility provider just to be sure. Now the posts only go in the ground 16 inches, but it still would be a good idea to get the utility guys to mark your lines. The first post hole can now be dug, and your tubes can be put in, and make sure that they're aligned and level. Okay, you can see your post tubes are dug in, and they're in the ground 16 inches, and 16 inches remain above grade to accommodate the panel widths. But remember, the distance between the posts must allow for the grooves in the posts relative to the length of the 34-inch panel. So the post distances should allow for a bit of play and movement. And I would suggest that you give an extra 1/2 inch of width to allow for that. Now the site setup is finished, so it's time to pour the concrete into your post forms. I used 3,500 psi Redecrete concrete, and I think that's adequate. Each post will also require about a 30 kilogram bag to fill. One 30-inch rebar should also be added into the middle of the post, just to give it some extra strength. I would suggest that you tap the sides of the mold lightly to remove any air bubbles. And you also, as a reminder, you should leave your posts in for 72 hours before removing the foam strips. Now, the next step is the removal of the strips and the outside molds, once your concrete is set. And as I mentioned before, 72 hours would be a good guideline before removing them. You can see by the caption how the grooves are constructed. The post grooves accommodate the panel sections to help hold them into place. Okay, now that the posts and the panels are complete, it's time to set everything into position. The 100-pound finished panels are lowered into place, I should say, using rope loops. I used that just for something to grab onto. The panels weigh, like I said, 100 pounds, so you might need some help. Slide each panel into the adjoining grooves. The post tops are made using a pail. To make the posts, you find pails that match the post diameter, allowing for a bit of overhang. I used a 4-liter pail for a 6-inch post and a 20-liter pail for the 8-inch corner post. Just spray the inside of the bottom of the pail with a release agent like cooking oil. Then put 2 inches of concrete into the pail and then tap it to remove air bubbles. Remove the concrete caps from the pail in about 2 days. The caps rest on the post tops and they're not glued and they're not cemented into place. We decided to put a sidewalk around the raised beds, and what we ended up doing was we bought different boot pens and with a different design, and they worked out very well. We enjoy them because it keeps your feet dry, and it's nice to be able to walk on a dewy, wet morning and not get your feet wet. In our garden, we grow a variety of plants. Everyone will have their own personal preferences. Gardening is a very rewarding and healthy lifestyle. The personal enjoyment and satisfaction in growing your own food is unmeasurable. Thanks for watching, guys, and I can't begin to tell you how much enjoyment and satisfaction my wife and I have received from our raised garden beds. In retirement, you look, for avenues of entertainment and activities, and as you'll find, gardening is one of the purest and simplest forms you'll ever have. Thank you.